Now, this handout occurs in conjunction with Mounce chapter 10. Mounce chapter 10. In Mounce chapter 10, what are we dealing with? What's the big issue there? That's right. So Mounce 10 is third declension nouns. And third declension nouns, based on the noun rules you've learned, are nouns whose stem ends with a consonant. And so what we're going to find is that consonants, when they come together, can sometimes misbehave. And this happens not just in Greek. This happens in a lot of languages. And so it's my privilege to introduce you to some of those in English and then to introduce them to you in Greek. Okay? So this is Mounce chapter 10. Now, in Greek, sometimes consonants undergo changes when they come into contact with other consonants. And this happens in English. So take the prefix in, which indicates negation. And we can put in front of a word like ability to indicate no ability, inability. When we add in, the prefix, to other words, though, we're going to see that sometimes the N of in can be changed when it comes into contact with those other words. And in this particular case, we can put in front of the word mobile, and the N does not stay there. It's not immobile, but immobile. And this is a process called assimilation. Assimilation. I love the Borg in Star Trek. Assimilation. That's what they do. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated. And so the N assimilates to the consonant after it and becomes a copy of it. Immobile, immobile. And it happens not just with M's. Irresistible comes from in plus resistible. So that N becomes an R. Consonants in English, as in Greek, can misbehave this way. It's not really misbehavior, but it's maddening to someone who doesn't know the language and doesn't know the phonetic patterns of what happens here. Now, in Greek, certain sorts of sound changes are going to happen when certain consonants come into contact with each other. And I want to walk through those because you need to know these in order to understand what's going on with some of these third declension forms that we'll see. So let's walk through the handout here. The word labials refers to the lips, and it refers to consonants that are formed by the lips. So what are the labial consonants? Well, they're the ones that are formed with usually the two lips. That sounds very Calvinist, doesn't it? The two lips. P and beta, P and B, and then phi, which is technically not a bilabial the way we pronounce it. Bilabial means two lips, but we're using the top of the teeth and then the bottom of the lip, right? So these, though, Mounce and others will refer to as the labials. And what happens is when the labials meet a sigma, the labials and the sigma together will produce the psi. The psi. All right, so P plus sigma becomes psi, beta plus sigma becomes psi, and phi plus sigma becomes psi. All right? So we want to take careful note of that and know what will always be the product of a labial crashing into a sigma. All right? We're going to see this a lot with our third declension forms. Now, velars are those consonants which are produced in the upper back of the soft palate area. You know where that little punching bag hangs out down where your throat is? That's the velar region. And these are where the back of our tongue lifts up to make contact with that velar area. K, G, and Ch. If you pronounce those, you'll notice that all of them are pronounced in the same area. Say that. K, G, and Ch. Okay? Your mouth shouldn't be moving a whole lot to produce those three sounds. Tongue should stay in pretty much the same position. K, G, Ch. Okay, it's just a matter of the way that sound comes out. Anytime a velar consonant meets a sigma, it produces the xi. Xi, okay? So, kappa sigma, xi. Gamma sigma, xi. Chi sigma, xi. All right? Now, the dentals. The dentals have to do with the teeth. These are those consonants where you put your tongue up to the back of the top teeth, and you're going to pronounce a dental. T, D, and th. Do you feel that tongue coming up the teeth, the dentals, right? T, D, th. T, D, th. Now here, when a dental meets a consonant sigma, the dentals are going to fall out and the sigma will be left alone. Now, if you know dentals refer to teeth, and I like to say that in Greek the teeth like to fall out, okay? When the teeth meet a sigma, the teeth fall out. So, tau sigma becomes just sigma, then delta sigma becomes sigma, theta sigma just becomes a sigma. Now, all of these first three, these are part of what Mounce refers to as noun rule number 7, the square of stops. And that is found on page 84. You don't have to turn there, just want to make sure that you know where to find that. So page 84 of Mounce is where he introduces this to you. So let me just, for the moment, talk about the square of stops and the way that Mounce lays them out, okay? So he gives you a little chart, and there are going to be 1, 2 lines. He has 3 columns here. And he puts the PB phi right here. P beta phi, sorry. Then kappa, gamma, and chi. And then last we have tau, delta, theta. Okay? Now he indicates the place of articulation here. So these are labials. Here, these are velars, and here, these are dentals, okay? So when he tells you to memorize your noun rules, and this is noun rule number 7, the square of stops, this is the square he's talking about. Now, this is a little bit of a misnomer, and this is what I want to talk to you about. A stop consonant is exactly what it sounds like. All the airflow comes to a point of stoppage and then release. So when you look at these letters that are referred to as the square of stops, technically they're not all stops, are they? How do you pronounce this first one up on the top right hand? Yeah, there is no complete stoppage of air. That air is blowing through the production of that consonant. So again, this isn't technically a stop, but it's close enough, right? But the P sound, P, do you notice that both of the lips come together and all the airflow stops? P, and then you release. Beta, same thing. B, B. Same thing with the kappa. K. Except you're not stopping the air at the lips, you're stopping it in the velar region. K and G, right? And then the dentals, you're stopping it right there. T and D. Okay? But the F, H, and Th sounds are technically not stops. These are in linguistics called fricatives. Isn't that a great word? You might want to know that if you're ever on Jeopardy. Fricatives. Fricatives. Okay? And then these are stops over here. The P, kappa, tau, these are, I'm going to get a little bit of a skinnier pen. I will call these voiceless stops. Okay. And beta, gamma, delta, these are voiced stops. Okay. The fricatives, they're all unvoiced, right? And you're probably wondering, what does voiced and voiceless mean? Let me tell you. A consonant is voiceless if there's no vocal cord vibration when you produce it. How do you know if your vocal cords are vibrating? You can do one of two things. You can take your hand and put it on your throat, and if you pronounce just the consonant, no vowels, please, just the consonant, if you feel your vocal cords vibrating, then it's a voiced consonant. And if there's no vocal cord vibration, then it's voiceless or unvoiced, okay? So everybody do the P sound. Just go p, 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 p. No, don't go p, or your vocal cords are going to vibrate. Just go p, 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 p. You shouldn't feel vocal cord vibration. Now, some of you are pretty insensitive people, and so maybe you can't feel it with your hands. So here's what I want you to do. Take your 2 fingers and stick them in your ears and go p, 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 p. Shouldn't hear anything. Now do the B sound, b, 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 and put your fingers in your ears. B, 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 b. Can you hear that vibration now? It's a lot stronger, okay? And if you put your hand on your vocal cords and go b, 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 you should feel some vibration there, okay? The P and the beta, those sounds are identical sounds except for voicing or no voicing. It's the only difference between the two. Same thing with kappa and gamma. Go ahead and try that. K, 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 k. And then g, 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 g. Same place, just vocal cords vibrate with one and not the other, right? And the same thing with tau and delta. T, 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 t. D, 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 d. All right? So those are voiceless stops and voiced stops. So when I have you do the square of stops, I want you to add this up here as well. This is going to be important not for the chapter 10, but when we get further down the road and start looking at other consonant changes, this will matter to us, okay? That you know which ones are voiced and which ones are not. Okay, great. So let's continue on for just a bit longer here. Next, we have number 4, sound change. A nu plus a sigma becomes just a sigma. Okay, in other words, you know how dentals fall out? So do nus. Nus fall out. Why do you think a nu falls out before a sigma? It's lazy because we're lazy? Where is the nu sound produced? It's voiced for sure, but where's your tongue when you pronounce the n sound? Okay, it's actually right at the top back of the front row of teeth. In fact, do this for me. Do the T sound, t, t, the D sound, d, d, the N sound, n, n. Is your tongue in the same place with all of them? It's because the nu is a nasal dental, isn't it? It's a dental. That's why it falls out. It just happens to be a nasal dental. What's a nasal consonant? It's the one where your soft palate drops in the back, and instead of forcing the air out of the oral cavity, it comes up through the nasal cavity. Okay? N, n. Now, try to do an N sound like that, n, and then plug your nose. Go ahead, right now. It's pretty hard to do a nasal consonant when your nose is plugged up, right? Okay? But that's what nasal consonants do. They force air through the nasal cavity and out of the nostrils. All right. So, nu will drop out because it's a nasal dental before a sigma. Now, you didn't know it, but you've actually seen this happen in Greek. You remember that the accusative of logos is logon. Do you remember that? Logon. Oops. L, lambda, logon. Okay, so that's the accusative singular. The accusative plural is the accusative singular and add an S. You know how in English, we want to make something plural, we add an S, right? I'm not saying that this is exactly the same principle, but maybe this will help you. Logon, accusative singular, add an S, it becomes accusative plural, but a nu before a sigma does what? Well, no, it doesn't change to you. What do nus do before a sigma? They drop out, right? So this nu is going to disappear. Now, what am I left with? I'm left with this short omicron, right? Omicron's a short O. And to compensate for the loss of the nu, which should have been there, this short omicron is going to lengthen. This is called compensatory lengthening, and it becomes an omicron upsilon diphthong, and diphthongs are long vowel sounds, aren't they? Okay, so this omicron upsilon that you see is basically the short omicron compensatorily lengthening to make up for the lack of the new that should have been there. All right? We're going to see this in some other places too, but you saw it here first.
How do you pronounce that word?
So, lagus.
It's not lagos, it's lagus.
Yeah, lagus. The accent's going to be on first syllable here, so lagus. Lagus. All right? So there's no new anymore. You can't pronounce it. You shouldn't hear it. Okay, now, new tau. If I have a new tau meeting a sigma, what's going to happen? Taus are dentals, so they will drop out, right? And that would leave a nu before sigma, and nus before sigma also drop out. So both of them are going to fall out, okay? And I'll just have the sigma all by itself. And we will see that as well. Yes, you could. You could. Let me see. I'm trying to remember. Well, we'll come to some third declension nouns where that becomes an issue for us. Okay. All right. And then the final example here is a final tau. When a final tau has nothing after it, so that's what this means. Final tau plus nothing. Guess what? The final tau will drop out. And I like to call this throwing in the towel. Okay? The towel drops. No more. He says no mas. All right? So we throw in the towel. So anytime I have a final tau, it can't stand at the end of a word. Now, I don't know if we talked about this before, but so this is a fun little tidbit, fun fact about Greek, and I guess we'll end the handout just talking about this. What are the letters that Greek can end with? Greek words. Have you noticed that not every consonant comes at the end of a Greek word? So what have you seen at the end of a Greek word? Sigma, yes. Vowels, that's right. News, you've seen news, good. And there's one more. Only one. Oh, no. Man, you wouldn't make it on Wheel of Fortune, would you? No. Nope. No, that's a vowel. So, yeah, so you're partially right there. It is the letter rho. Rho. So, I like to remind people they are the center consonants. Okay? Sigma, nu, rho, and in between are vowels. So not just the vowels I and E, but any vowels. Okay? So the center consonants and any vowel could be how a Greek word ends. So, if you find a word in your New Testament that doesn't end with a sigma, nu, rho, or a vowel, chances are it is a loan word from another language that's been borrowed in because it's not a true and pure Greek word. Jerusalem ends with a mu, doesn't it? Well, that's why it ends with a mu, okay? Not a Greek word. So Abraham, yes. So if you just open the Greek New Testament, you'll see this. It's very interesting, very fascinating. Yeah, yeah, that's right. So yeah. So yeah. It's so I challenge you. Take up the challenge, right? And try to find words in Greek that do not end with one of these three consonants or a vowel. All right, great. So that's the handout there.